God bless you. Good to see you this morning. Good morning. Bright and breezy. That's what we need to be, isn't it? Yeah. In between the showers. Good to see you this morning as we continue with our second series of daily broadcasts from Shore Hope Church for friends and family and those who join with us each day during the corona crisis. We're calling this series the Digging Deeper. And trust you're digging deeper today, not into your own resource or your own ingenuity or your own will and determination of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, but actually digging deeper into God and digging deeper specifically into His Word. And so we're looking at Psalm 19 at the moment, and we've seen so far the glory of God being revealed in the natural world, and then the glory of God being revealed in this supernatural word. So we've had the six couplets that David brings. I'll just read those through, and then we have the blessing today. So verse 7, it says, "The instructions of the Lord are perfect, reviving the soul. The decrees of the Lord are trustworthy, making wise the simple. The commandments of the Lord are right, bringing joy to the heart. The commands of the Lord are clear, giving insight for living. Reverence for the Lord is pure, lasting forever. The laws of the Lord are true, each one is fair." Now, for today, we're going to look at verses 10 and 11. And as we've dug deeper and found in God's word I trust, and if this series just stimulates us all to consider that, what it means to dig deeper, what it means to get the shovel out and really start to investigate. You might want to invest yourself in a new study Bible or something, or invest in a little study course on a particular subject that God drops into your heart. Do it. This is the time to dig deeper. This is the time to know God's word reviving your soul. David has it so clear there, doesn't he? Making wise the simple. If you feel simple, it make you wise. It brings joy to your heart. It gives insight for living. It's lasting forever. Wow, the things that we thought were long lasting. Yes, we found out in 2020 that they're actually very temporary. Things we thought would be forever and would outlive us have suddenly disappeared, and so many more will in the coming days, no doubt. God's word speaks to us, it's revealing God's glory, and it's revealing something of His character, something of his ways. It's showing us how to live. We said it, the Bible, Bible, basic instructions before leaving Earth. Don't disregard the instruction manual, because in the law of the Lord, which is perfect, it's giving us all the insight we need, insight for living in every department. In every avenue, every which way we might turn, there's an answer found here that will bring us an incredible revelation of who God is and His way of doing things. And here we are. So, verse 10, "They are more desirable than gold, even the finest gold. They are sweeter than honey, even honey dripping from the comb." Wow. "And they are a warning to your servant, a great reward for those who obey them." Oh, come on, let's just give God praise for that this morning, because here's the reward. As you're digging deeper, as you determine to dig deeper, as you determine not to try and find the strength to get through the days and get through this winter and this, what's going to be a difficult time, a bumpy road, however the Prime Minister wants to describe it. If you're going to try and do it in your own strength, then I'm sorry, it's going to be pretty depressing. But look, there's reward for digging deeper into God's word, for digging deeper into Him. And here it is. The blessing of digging deeper in his word is more desirable than gold. Yes, even David just says the finest gold. Now, I don't know whether you've checked these things out recently, but because of the stock market crash, because of COVID-19, things recovered somewhat. But what, even the gold price was affected at first, but now everybody is running to what they call it the safety of gold. And so the price of gold is something ridiculous, like $1,300 an ounce at the moment. I mean, that's why you see the adverts on the TV, we want your gold. Of course they do. Put it in an envelope and send it to them. Yes, they'll give you full price. Yeah, right. Because they know, yes, they know that what the price of gold is. Check it out before you decide to send anything in the post. Look, but God's word is more valuable than the finest gold. Wow. That when you start to find that it brings insight for living, as David says, then do you know what? It's more valuable than gold, more valuable than the finest gold. Nothing. What David is saying is, look, nothing this world can offer can possibly come near to God's word. There's nothing to compare with it. It's supernatural revelation of God that speaks to you and trains you and encourages you and strengthens you and equips you. What more do you want? Oh God, well, maybe you do want more. Maybe you like me and you like honey on your porridge. Did I enjoy my honey on my porridge this morning? I did. Sweeter than honey. Even honey from the comb, he says. Fully satisfying. David's saying, look, you know, he's fought the bear and he's the lion and the bear, and he's seen how the bear is completely enjoying himself when he finds a honeycomb, and wow, you know, he's engrossed. He's not interested in anything else because he's found his honey. And so God's word will bring us to that place of having insight for living, the joy that knows no bounds and no limitations, bringing wisdom to those who you know, is described as simple of heart, reviving your soul, bringing joy to your heart. You know, it's everlasting. This isn't just a passing fad. So he's describing it as honey that just lick your lips this morning. Wow, I did enjoy my honey on my porridge this morning. and so it, you know, it has that incredible taste that is so filling and satisfying, isn't it? God's word, it fills you up. It satisfies you, satisfies your spiritual hunger. People who are searching and don't know where else to look, well, look into God's word, because it is satisfying like the finest of honey that brings and comes to your soul, brings you to that place of blessing. Okay, sweeter and tastier, that taste of home. You've arrived, you find your satisfaction in God. Come home, smell the honey. Okay, taste and see that the Lord is good. Yeah, Psalm 34, one of my favorite verses. And, you know, I used to say it in Scotland and everybody would laugh because they go, yeah, taste and see that the Lord is good. Enjoy that taste of understanding even in your natural frame, in your physical body, knowing something that tastes so good, that's satisfying. And it's the revelation of who God is and his way of doing things that strengthens your spirit. I think it says on the jar of honey that I opened this morning, honey naturally good for you. Come on, it's supernaturally good for you, God's word. As honey is good for you naturally, God's word is supernaturally good for you. But there is a warning. And there is a warning. And this invaluable, uncomparable, uncalculable source of supernatural goodness also warns us. It warns us that keeping of God's laws is the way of life, in the ways of life, brings great reward, yes, but the warning is this: ignoring them, trampling over them, taking exception to them, as the way society seems to be right now. Amos actually tells us what happens then. So let's just recap that. When we ignore them, ignore the laws of the Lord, which are perfect and true and right, strengthening your soul, reviving your spirit, bringing you the right way of instruction in life. If you ignore them, if you trample over them, and as I sense and see in the day we live, take exception to them, Amos chapter 5 verse 7 says, you have turned justice, sweet honey, into bitterness. Yes, the sweet honey, actually, if you ignore God's word and trample over it and take exception to it, justice will become bitterness. And then in Amos 6 verse 12, he says that you have turned justice, sweet honey, into poison, and the fruit of righteousness into bitterness. And isn't it interesting how you listen to the news reports or you listen to documentaries on the different aspects of life in the UK at the moment, and your spirit wants to scream at the TV because God's laws have been trampled, God's laws have been ignored, and worse, God's laws they've taken exception to them and are flying in the face of them. And so society reaps that reward, which is actually a curse, because what should be sweet tasting honey that satisfies, sweet tasting honey that makes you go, actually becomes bitter. And we see it all around us. And justice becomes poison. And the fruit of righteousness becomes bitterness. You choose today. You choose today whether you're going to dig deeper into God's word or whether you're going to flout it, ignore it, just play about with it. Yeah, take the bits you like and leave the bits you don't. You choose, but there is a reward for living by it, but there's also a warning when we ignore it. Part of the Bible study last night was we, after 20 weeks, eventually arrived at 2 Samuel 11, which is the story of David and Bathsheba. David had warning. He had his way of escape. The servant came back on his travel of inquiring as to who this very beautiful woman is that David had seen from his palace balcony. And the servant, bless him, brave he was. You notice what he says. He says, yeah, it's Bathsheba, the wife of Uriah. That was the warning. David, she's married. That's what the servant was saying. He knew what was in David's mind. He knew, he'd seen the harem of all these women and all these wives and concubines. He knew what was in David's mind. And he says, David, by the way, it's Uriah's wife. But David ignored it. He ignored the warning. And boy, did life become bitter after that. Never the same. And it's the warning for us. Here's God's laws. Here's God's ways. It can revive your soul. It can refresh you. It give you insight for living. It's wow. It's your basic instruction before leaving Earth. Yeah, and we won't be here much longer. But there we are. One way or another, we're either going to die or we're going to fly. One way or the other. um, it's a warning, though. If you ignore it, if you go your own way and turn your back on it, then what should be sweet becomes bitter. I leave it with you today, what you choose. Choose you this day, what you're going to do. All right, have a great day and dodge the showers. I think the sun's coming out later on. And we'll finish this week's Digging Deeper series tomorrow. Okay, God bless you. Bye-bye.